welcome back. Today we are going to talk about something really important in GraphQL, the schema and type definitions. Now, if these words sound scary, don't worry, I'll break them down into very simple ideas. No coding yet, just focusing on understanding how we shape our data in GraphQL. Now, in this episode of this course, we'll be understanding what GraphQL schema is, what TypeDefs means, why it is important to define types, and also how to start shaping your data step by step. So let's go slow and learn it in an easy way. Now imagine we are building a simple blogging platform. So we will have posts, users, and comments. Now the GraphQL schema is like a map or a blueprint of your data. It tells the server what kind of data you have, what the data looks like, and also what users are allowed to ask for. Now, in the real world example, imagine like a bookstore catalog. It tells you what books are available, what is inside each book, like title or author or the price, and also what kind of books you can browse, either by gender or author. Now, that's what a GraphQL schema does for your actual application. Now let's open up our app. Schema is written using something called TypeDefs. It's short for type definitions. It starts with the keyword always type and help us to describe the schema. Now what I will do, I'll create a new file and I'll call it schema.ts. Then I'll create a constant and I will try to export it. So I'll say export const. And I will call it schema. You can call it anything you like. Of course, when you have more bigger projects, you might have to provide a better name. We use the backtick and then give a space. Now, the backticks, I will define all my schema inside of my backticks. And to help me with the intelligence for GraphQL and the look of it so it's readable, we can do hatch and then we do GraphQL. And one more thing we need to do is go back to your extensions and search for GraphQL and then scroll to the syntax highlighting and go ahead and install it. So this one basically will highlight the syntaxes for us to make it much more easier to read. Then just close off this. Now I'll go back here and I'll start defining my first type. So the way you do it is you do type, then the type name, and I think this one I have to remove the space right here. Yep. So type, and then we define the type name. I will call it post, space, then curly bracket, and then you can find the type right here. So for example, my post will have ID property, then what is the type of my ID property? I'll do column, which call capital ID, okay, which means it is an ID. Now, this property, I want it to be important because I don't want it to have a null. It must be provided. So to do that, I'll just add an exclamation mark right here. Then I'll go to the next lane and add my next property. I'll say it's title, and that will be of type string. And also it must be provided as well, content, and that will be type string too. And also this one is not optional, I have to provide it. And let's say for example published, and that will be of type boolean, and B should be capital, and also that one must be provided as well. Our type post. Now the post is the name of our data type, and ID is the unique identifier, title is the post headline, content is the body of your post, and publish just tell us if the post is live or still in the draft mode. Now remember the exclamation mark means that these fields are required. Okay, now let's create another example and let's create type user. Okay, and this user will have also an ID which should be of type ID, which is a mandatory field. You will have a name which will be of type of string, and also it's a mandatory field, an email which should be of type string, and also that one, it is a mandatory field. Okay, now let's add one more type, and this time will be a type comment. So that also will have ID, which is of type ID, and it will have message, which will be of type string, and it will have post ID, which will be of type ID, which is also a mandatory field. Okay, now this is how our schema now looks like overall. Okay, it's very simple, it's very easy to define and tell us exactly what is our data we're expecting or how it looks like. So we have a better idea on how our data looks like. Now, this helps GraphQL to understand the shape of your data. So when someone asks for it, your server knows exactly what to return. We defined our data type. The most important one is a mandatory type we need to declare, which is the query type. Now we need to tell GraphQL how users can ask for their data. This is done using something called the query type. It's like the entry door to your data. If you don't include it, the server will break and give you an error. So let's define this together. So type query, and again, this is a mandatory one. It's not an optional one, and this is how you define it, query. And then you tell it what you are exposing to the users or to the end users to access. Okay, so I want to access, for example, a list of posts. So I'll name it whatever you want again, but I'll name it posts. Okay, and this post will give me an array of posts that I created earlier up there. Okay, now I want this one to be also mandatory, so I need to have an array, so I will add an exclamation mark in the end, but also whatever properties inside that array, they need to be valid too, so they are mandatory too. So I need to add also an exclamation mark inside, so I'll go and add it like this. Great. Now we have list of posts. I want to have also list of users, so I'll say users. Okay, I name it users, and it's giving me an array, array of user. Okay, and that's user that we defined up here. Okay, and same thing, I want this to be a mandatory one, and also the values within an array should be mandatory. Okay, next thing I want, for example, list of comments. Now later on we'll learn how to query a single post or a single user or a single comment by ID, but that will be for our next step. Now the query type basically lists all the ways someone can fetch this data. In this example, users can ask for a list of the posts, list of users, and also the comments. Now the post exclamation and then array around it and exclamation means the list of the posts that aren't null, and the list itself is also not null. Okay, now I'll save this, and what I will do, I will go and import this inside our server that we created earlier. So I'll import schema from the schema that I created, and now I can pass on this schema right here. Now that our schema is ready, we will move to the next step, which is the resolvers. Now the resolvers are the code functions that return the real data when someone runs this query, and we will do that in a brand new file in the next episode. Now if this helped you understand schemas better, hit that like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what kind of app would you love to build.